Everyone lied to you about lying. They told you honesty is always the right move. They told you transparency builds trust. They told you that if you are a good person, you tell the truth. And you believed them. And it cost you. It cost you negotiations. It cost you relationships. It cost you rooms you should have owned. Because while you were busy being honest, the people at the top were being strategic. This video is not about becoming a liar. It is about becoming someone who understands when truth is a tool and when it is a trap. Machiavelli did not write The Prince for liars. He wrote it for survivors. He wrote it for people who wanted to hold power in a world that does not reward the naive. By the end of this, you will know exactly when to speak, when to go silent, and when the most strategic move you make is letting someone believe something that serves you. This is not manipulation for the weak. This is architecture, and you are about to learn how to build. Phase 1. The lie you were told about honesty. You were raised to believe that honesty is a virtue without conditions. Tell the truth, always, no exceptions. That sounds noble. It is also the fastest way to get eaten alive in high-stakes environments. Here is what they never told you. Radical honesty is not strength. In most situations, it is exposure. When you tell everyone your plans, your fears, your doubts, you hand them a map to your vulnerabilities. You show them exactly where to push to make you fold. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince who is not wise himself cannot be well advised." That wisdom includes knowing what to reveal and what to protect. The most dangerous people in any room are not the loudest or the most aggressive. They are the ones you cannot read. You do not know what they know. You do not know what they want. You do not know their next move. That uncertainty is not an accident. It is a strategy. Think about the last time you over-explained yourself. You got defensive. You told someone more than they needed to know because you wanted them to understand you. And the moment you did that, they had leverage. They saw your insecurity. They saw your need for approval. And whether they used it consciously or not, it shifted the dynamic. You gave away power for the price of being understood. The first shift you need to make is this. Stop treating honesty like a reflex. Start treating it like a decision. Phase 2. The anatomy of a strategic lie. Not all lies are equal. This is where most people get it wrong. They think lying means fabricating reality. It does not. Strategic deception operates on a spectrum, and the most effective forms of it barely touch fabrication at all. There are 3 levels. The first is omission. You tell the truth, but not all of it. You share what serves you and withhold what does not. This is the cleanest form of misdirection because you never say anything false. A negotiator who reveals his bottom line loses. A negotiator who stays silent keeps all the leverage. He did not lie. He chose what not to say. That choice is the weapon. The second level is framing. You control how information lands. The same fact presented 2 different ways produces 2 completely different responses. A doctor who says this surgery has a 10% failure rate gets a different reaction than one who says this surgery has a 90% success rate. Both are true. One creates fear, one creates confidence. The data is identical. The frame is everything. When you control the frame, you control the interpretation. When you control the interpretation, you control the decision. The third level is the performance. This is the most advanced. This is where you present a version of yourself that is not your full reality. Not a fake identity, a curated one. You show people the face that serves the situation. You're not cold in front of your family. You're not vulnerable in front of your competitors. You're not aggressive in front of someone you need to persuade. You adjust the mask to the room. This is not dishonesty. This is intelligence. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The strategist controls the appearance. The naive person broadcasts the reality. Which one wins? You already know. Comment below right now if you have ever lost ground because you were too honest at the wrong moment. Write, "I showed my hand," because that is exactly what you did. And we are going to fix that. Phase 3. When honesty becomes a liability. There is a precise moment when truth stops serving you and starts working against you. You need to identify that moment before it arrives. The first situation is when the other person is not operating in good faith. You're sitting across from someone whose goal is to extract information, not to understand you. A bad faith negotiator, a manipulative colleague, a person whose agenda is fixed regardless of what you say. In this situation, your honesty does not build trust. It builds their arsenal. Every real answer you give becomes a piece they use to corner you. The correct response is not to match their dishonesty. The correct response is to say nothing of value. Give them words that are technically true and strategically empty. The second situation is when you are being tested. Someone asks you a question, and the answer itself is irrelevant. They are watching how you respond. They are watching your confidence, your composure, your certainty. In this moment, the content of your answer matters less than the delivery of it. If the honest answer makes you look uncertain, recalibrate it, not by lying, by presenting your position with more conviction than you feel. Because feeling uncertain and performing certainty are two different things. Leaders do this constantly. It is not deception, it is composure. The third situation is when the truth serves no one. Someone asks you something and the honest answer causes damage with no strategic upside. It does not improve the situation. It does not build anything. It destroys something that did not need to be destroyed. In that case, truth is not a virtue. It is a grenade, and you are the one holding it. The disciplined person asks one question before speaking. What does this accomplish? If the honest answer accomplishes nothing except harm, silence is the higher move. Phase 4. The mask and the man behind it. Here is where people get uncomfortable. They say, if I wear a mask, I lose myself, I become fake. That is a misunderstanding of what the mask is. The mask is not a replacement for your identity. It is a layer of protection over it. Every professional does this. A surgeon does not bring his personal grief into the operating room. A general does not show his troops his fear before a battle. A CEO does not walk into a board meeting broadcasting his doubt. They perform the version of themselves that the situation demands. That performance is not weakness, it is discipline. Machiavelli argued that a prince must be both a lion and a fox. The lion uses force. The fox uses cunning. Neither alone is enough. A prince who only acts as a lion does not understand the nature of the world. You need both. You need the ability to be direct when it serves you and strategic when it serves you. The person who is always one thing is predictable. The predictable person is controllable. Your mask is your strategic interface with the world. You decide what people see. You decide what they sense from you. You decide what they believe about your position, your confidence, your intentions. That decision is yours. Handing it over in the name of authenticity is not honest. It is reckless. There is one rule. You must always know where the mask ends and you begin. The moment you forget, you do not become strategic. You become hollow. The mask protects the real you. It does not replace you. Keep that line clear and you are a strategist. Lose that line and you are lost. Phase 5. Strategic silence is your sharpest weapon. Most people think deception is about what you say. The best operators know it is about what you do not say. Silence does 3 things that words never do. First, silence creates pressure. When you stop filling every gap in a conversation, the other person fills it for you. And what they fill it with tells you everything. Their assumptions, their fears, their position. You learn more from their discomfort than you ever would from their prepared answers. Let them talk. Let them over-explain. Let them show you where they are nervous. You stay quiet and you watch. Second, silence creates mystery. The person who answers every question, who explains every decision, who fills every pause, is fully legible. You read them in a minute. The person who speaks only when necessary is unreadable. You do not know what they are thinking. You do not know what they know. That uncertainty is a form of control. People do not test what they cannot predict. They do not push someone they cannot read. Your silence becomes a wall they do not want to run into. Third, silence gives you time. Most bad decisions happen in the gap between stimulus and response. Someone challenges you, you react immediately, and you give them exactly what they wanted. A provoked response, an emotional outburst, a reveal. When you pause, you choose your response instead of producing it. That pause is the difference between a strategist and someone who gets played. Machiavelli watched rulers fall because they could not stop talking. They announced plans before they were secured. They explained decisions to people who did not deserve explanations. They revealed their thinking to the very people who would use it against them. Do not be those rulers. Speak with precision, speak with purpose, and when you have nothing strategic to say nothing. Phase 6. The code of the calculated person, everything. In this video builds to one operating principle. You're not a liar, you're a gatekeeper. You decide what enters the conversation and what stays behind the wall. You decide which version of reality you project in which room. You decide when honesty serves the situation and when it destroys it for no gain. That is not manipulation. That is self-governance. And most people never develop it because they were trained to perform honesty as a moral reflex instead of deploy it as a strategic choice. Here is the code. You never lie for comfort. Lying to avoid a difficult conversation is weakness. That is not strategy. That is avoidance. The code is about power, not cowardice. If you're lying to escape accountability, you're doing this wrong. You never lie to people who have earned your full truth. Your inner circle, the people who have proven they operate in good faith, they get the real version of you. The mask is for the arena. It is not for the table where you are safe. You always know your objective before you speak. Every word you say in a high-stakes situation should serve a specific purpose. If you do not know what that purpose is, close your mouth until you do. You stay honest with yourself above all else. This is the one place where strategic silence has no role. You do not lie to yourself about your position, your weaknesses, or your motives. Self-deception is the only lie that destroys the liar. Know what you're doing and why. Every time. Machiavelli was exiled, tortured, and stripped of everything he had built. In that silence, in that isolation, he wrote the most studied political text in history. Not because he was a liar, because he was a realist. He looked at the world as it was, not as he wished it to be. And he wrote the rules for surviving it. You're operating in that same world. The rules have not changed. The people who hold power understand what you now understand. Truth is not always a gift. Sometimes it is a weapon pointed at you, and the person who knows when to lower it and when to raise it is the one who stays standing. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be effective. Those two things are not always the same. Stop choosing likability over leverage. Stop choosing comfort over control. Start treating every high-stakes conversation as a chessboard, not a confessional. The naive tell the truth because they were told to. The strategic tell the truth when it wins. You now know the difference. If you want to go deeper into the psychology of power, influence, and the frameworks that separate the people who lead from the people who get led, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We are building something here that most people will never find. You found it. Do not waste it. Comment below. Write, "I am the gatekeeper," because now you are.